How's it going there? Overtime crypto friends. We're here in Hollywood, really late night here in Los Angeles, trying to pull together. So much, happens, over these big weekends, and it was funny. Just wanted to catch up on, some Vogu companion release information. There's Space Poggers, my reveal of this little guy with his rare little tricorn hat, and touch on nouns, which is something I've been following for a while, and it was just kind of funny to me because it exploded in this huge way. But if you've been following the project, you kind of wouldn't notice much, and I'll show you why. Because in testnet, they were in testnet for a while, and they were on Rigby network, and so I was following them, and
thing all at once. We've been demanding in games forever.
So
let's just look at it this way. Let's see, we got Logan Paul right here.
This is my reveal, my big reveal. This guy. It's been a week for all you space buggers who went, and as I said, there's 2 times that you can buy these, buy NFTs, with this sort of gambling sight unseen experience, and that's during the mint and then after mint, during that reveal period where they haven't revealed yet. And Space Poggers had a significantly long period, and it was an interesting effect on their market because people were able to unload all their mints that they felt like they may have, once they saw the market sort of react to the secondary market, they said, well, I can probably unload here, definitely make money. You can see sort of the average price that I paid was 0.24, and that's over a 0.07, 0.08 mint, and so roughly with gas war fees on Ethereum, you're probably in at about 0.2, depending on how many bought and the sort of limitations of each project. And so you kind of make a little bit there, and then now once secondary fully hits, you sort of look at all of the
thing all at once. We've been demanding in games forever. So let's just look at it this way. Let's say we got Logan Paul right here. Okay, and whereas this one video game, and there's going to be many different other video games.
You always got to think about 1/3.
This is
it's kind of rule of thumb now, right? It's like they're going to offer you about 1/3 of the value of your guy or your girl, of your NFT. So it's just it's nice. I always love getting that sort of one trait that really sets an NFT off. You can see some of that in my collection, whether that's the unicorn piercing the owner's heart, or in Vogu the Hawaiian tourist shirt. It's there's certain traits that just automatically set you to the top, like 1,000 or so, and then from there, it's just, for me, I don't know, that's kind of where I start, and then from there I start looking at attitude and look. That gives me a balance of this is rare, and this is kind of always going to have some value associated to the rarity of it, and so I usually pick out a rarity that I think has attitude and is cool. I picked up a couple more glue horses, glue factory show horses. One's got like I was trying to get that Vladimir Putin one, I couldn't afford it, man. But there was like another one with like sort of a heavy set nude person riding the horse, and then there's another one with the horse just having just this tough life, was pierced by a candy cane and smoking a joint. So it's just like I pick out the one sort of trait that has attitude for me, and then from there it's just about aesthetic, I think.
Doesn't represent every game that's going to happen in space. Let's imagine we have a game like a Grand Theft Auto type game, and there's a penthouse in the city.
Super rare.
Okay, and this has to be bought with theft of dollars.
I picked one that I think is cool, and I think
which could also be a nickname for the U.S. currency. Okay, but anyways, let's imagine we got Logan Paul right here. He wants to buy this penthouse in this game. Why does he want to buy this penthouse in this game? Because everybody's playing it, and whoever has the coolest penthouse in this giant city, which is like a Grand Theft Auto city, I'm not going to repeat that again. So envision it.
So fun stuff. The market, though I don't know how well it's reacting.
all the things that are going to be created.
It's,
First off,
it's a nice
the
logic.
theft dollars already have value.
Usually have
This is the first currency that actually has like a real
period of
use
sort of,
case.
we
Like
don't know
you
what
needed to
have
buy
yet,
things in this game.
except when
The yen.
you get
Okay?
3 goggles.
I realize you
you
can
get
do it with Ethereum and whatnot.
sort of
Please don't
neat
spot
eyewear.
check everything.
You have
Mind your
sense,
eye.
I guess, of like,
So,
I was looking
look,
at all the tri
we got these theft dollars right here. First off, we have a first
the
working
heart,
digital
glasses,
world currency.
these sort of
This is
things
going to
help
happen.
give
This is
you
why
an
theft
idea
dollars
of,
in
okay,
video
maybe I
games
have
or
something
whatever the currency in
a
video games is
bit
going to be so
rare,
useful. But think about it
cyborg
too.
apparently.
These theft dollars can be actually converted back into actual currency.
Thing.
So the person sold this penthouse, he could have bought this really early.
And the 3D glasses, see, I always have this sort of element. Again, golden. It's the language of NFTs, and so when you have like super cool 3D glasses, cyborg, cyberpunk, when you have these elements, all the projects tend to have elements of this attached because it gives intrinsic significant value automatically just by its association to the world of NFTs. So by having the 3D glasses, it's sort of a nod to, hey, I know what marketplace we're in. I'm going to incorporate that into my visual storytelling because we are a focused channel focused on creators. And please hit like, subscribe down on that button there below me, please. So I can keep doing this, man, because it's a lot of fun.
And he converts it to.
So by incorporating these, like as a creator, you have values associated with that. Now, how much nobody quite knows yet because we're in that range again before Rarity Tools hits, and it's been interesting. I've been following Rarity Tools and how the creators are able to work with them, and I think that's the best bet because then you don't get as much variance, and that's super scary. This variance within Rarity Tools, because a lot of people come in, hit Rarity Tools, and say, okay, cool. I want the tricorn, and that's gonna be worth buku bucks, and then the silver chain plus the tricorn. Oh man, that puts it like we'll say a 500, top 500, and that has a lot of value. When you get into the hundreds, when you get into the thousands, that is a lot of value for collectors. That is a lot of value for just being earlier in the sequence of Rarity Tools ranking. Now, what if that ranking changed? Down the line, somehow there's information. Oh well, the silver chain was actually it's nickel, so it's not as valuable as the one with the gold chain. The gold chain one, that's the real rarity, and that puts something else ahead of yours, and so it's a tricky valuation system that Rarity has. That actually does slide. It's nothing super set in stone. I've been trying to keep an eye on specific examples other than people screaming their heads off in discords who are like, are you kidding? My like they break down. I mean, a lot of you guys do such great research when it comes to your purchases because you can tell like people have like an understanding of why their thing is so rare and why they believe that it has it should have a higher Rarity Tools ranking than certain other ones, and so we'll be keeping an eye on Space Poggers and see sort of how it goes. I just thought it was just like a fun little project that was in interesting spaces because of its long reveal. It was something to learn and understand about the marketplaces that are generated within the phases of NFT release. Speaking of which, Vogu, which obviously did their big release, are kind of now you can sense like this happens to like sort of all projects. You get the super high, and we'll talk about why Nouns is kind of a very interesting take on it. But with Vogu, it's just like super high. My gosh, this is huge launch, and then it was just like even more epic. 1 ETH floor. And it was a very sort of high time, if you will, for a Vogu owner because you're fielding offers that were instantly significantly higher, in order of anywhere from 50%. Depending on your rarities, obviously you're doing 2-3x, and this is within days. And so that's the type of feeling, the type of high that a lot of people get, me included. Sometimes you're just like whoa, like I see something cool here, and other people believe it's cool, and and hopefully that type of stuff wins out in terms of aesthetic about projects. But when you bring in a lot of these metrics in, you get people, and I appreciate that. There's so many who are like, they break down like the statistics of it, and they cross-reference the rarity tools, and in this quadrant, you will find the most value. Yeah, man, cool. Like, just pick something cool if you think it's like, I think that's what Avatar kind of projects, the most value comes from them. Sort of that's why I looked at Bored Apes a lot, because I'm just like, wow, you can really sort of emote a lot of attitude with Bored Apes, and I think that has a personality and an association with self that is super awesome. And so Vogu dropped, and I say Vogu, but Vogu dropped. They came up with this new logo too. I hope that serves them well, because it was really kind of hard to find them in the Discord, right? If anybody else follows them, it's just like, where'd it go? It's now this weird circle. But they dropped this announcement of their, it's not even an announcement, it's like a teaser. It's like, hey, there's something in the box. It landed, and in it, the signal is lost. And it was just kind of a interesting, slightly cheesy fade out. But, it's the companion that's coming. It's going to be much like, the BAYC dogs. I think everyone just saw how well that went and how much value that brought, to the owners, and it was just something that they could sell on secondary if they wanted to, or just have hype really around the project, because now you could buy off the floor and potentially double your money, maybe, because then you have this whole set of rarities associated with a companion, and so your companion could be worth a lot of money. And if you bought off the floor, if you bought a toaster head off the floor, you might end up doubling your money. You might end up, making some money. Not financial advice. This is very super speculative, but this is part of the allure of the companion. But also, it's you're trying to add value, as a creator, and this is just one of the ways. And I kind of went through in the past video how much money this generates. And it's, for a creator, this is a big money maker in a sense, because I'm dropping you these companions. Well, on the secondary market, when those are sold, you're getting a cut of that, at least 2.5%, and then on top of that, you're getting just the rise of people buying the floor. And so we'll talk about buying the floor also with sorry there. Let me try and add it really quick. The project that was my first is called Degenz, and Degenz had major problems in the beginning. I think just because they're early on, they really didn't figure out a lot. I just dug the art. I thought the art was kind of fun, and was representative of sort of where we're at as a marketplace, because you have people FOMOing, and you have trolls hating on stuff, throwing around FUD, and you have farmers. I got mine was my little guy on the opening page here is a farmer, and he's got like a moon astronaut sort of heading to the moon sort of thing mentality, sort of a nod to my time as a miner. And so I felt like, oh wow, this is a very, in a fun, tongue-in-cheek way, representative of what's going on in crypto right now. And a lot of Moon Boy scares the hell out of me. He's just like so fervently into it. But so they did that sort of that rise, the big drop, sold out really fast, and secondary market was pumping. It was pumping, and it just had a little lift. But then like other projects came by 1.5, 2 weeks later. It was kind of there was a lot of anger, because I mentioned it before, the control over discords over discords and discourse within your project. They kind of let it go. I think their attitude is that of sort of a Degenz, like, don't give a fuck, and like, pardon the French, but like allowing people to have free speech. And I thought that was kind of rad, but it did kind of bite them really hard because so many people who missed out on the mint, massive FUD, like they just hated on the project. When it didn't moon and triple, massive hate, and it brought it down further because I think people on the Discord start thinking, oh gosh, is this some sort of rug pull, or are the, you know, these people just literally make, you know, we went over some of the numbers, perhaps about $500 to $700,000, and pieced out, and so maybe even more. I think if you look at some of the that one rug pull from Sad Frogs, how much money is potential on a mint, it's quite significant. And so, but Degenz has proved to just be a community that's there, and you know, people that are sort of at the heart of it are still there. They're not going anywhere. They are looking at different ways to manifest value, and I think they came up with an interesting ploy where they're going to burn. It was going to be maybe a 3-to-1 burn or 2-to-1 burn, and so essentially we're going to put in burn our Degenz to get one new collection called the Regens. And so it creates a really interesting thing because they initially they committed to burning about 2,000 through, you know, kind of their DAO. And so this is it's you know, we'll talk about more with Nouns as well. Like, as a project, you also, because you're making money on transactions, and potentially, you know, you're giving a set of initial funds through the initial mint. That's a big pool of money. What are you doing with that money? Degenz says, hey, let's buy back and burn ones that people don't want. So if you didn't want one in the beginning, it's, you know what, I got 3 Moon Boys on the mint out of 3. Like, I don't need those. You could sell them back. And that got pretty bad as well because they weren't buying back at mint. And so people were losing a little bit of money, and they were really unhappy because they thought essentially that they would get a refund, and a full refund at that. And so the refund wasn't quite full, and it was very contentious. And so again, that sort of piled down, and really brought the floor down to, I think, 0.02, 0.03 at one point. And, you know, we're talking like $50 here. And so it brought the project down a lot. It's starting to pick up significantly the floor because of this idea of, well, if I wanted to burn 2 now instead of 1, burn 2 Degens to get 1 Regens, I just buy off the floor, $50, and then I'll get a part of a new collection that's maybe 1,000, 2,000. So in terms of its limitedness, we're looking at a very finite number because the people have to agree to burn existing ones. There's only about 8,000, 9,000, 8,000-ish, 8,500-ish or so left after the initial burn. Then you say, okay, we're going to give you a 2-to-1, you burn, we'll give you a Regens. Now, that means you're burning 2. Let's say 4,000 people or 4,000 NFTs take advantage of this just to get 2,000 Regens. So I'm going to be participating in both because I kind of like my Degenz, especially my farmer with his spacesuit. I think he's super cool, and so I'm going to hold on to him. And I did get a couple that I think are I don't know, they were okay, but Moon Boy, like, I feel like sometimes I should keep the hell out of Moon Boy because he's so weird and he's so iconic to this collection. And so maybe I'll buy from the floor and then just, you know, then burn those 2 to get the 1 Regens, because then if you're taking 4,000, that means you only have about 4,000 Degens left. That's a massive limitation. And then creating the secondary Regens at 2,000. So you're creating 2 collections of limited editions of 4,000 and 2,000 from an existing marketplace. And I think that is very interesting as they're sort of experimenting and controlling, you know, the limits of what they can do as a DAO. I think it's very interesting by trying to bring value to people who are part of the project. And so instead of, like, you know, a bunch of 0.02s, you know, maybe you can get a 0.1 out of a Regens, or again, that ability, that gamble to gamble and get a Regens that perhaps is super rare. So I think they're very keen on this to try and give rarities, because then there's some satisfaction in having that. Even just as a collector, you're like, oh wow, I'm the only one that has the unicorn that's made of poop in the glue factory, and so you're like, oh, that's a very good one, and so there's something funny about that, and so potentially it has value, and so when other people see that value, there's a bit of a reward to that, and so here they were trying to do a comic, and so what they'll do is they'll like here like they did a drop on us, and this is what I think is going to happen with Vogu. You do a drop, and automatically you get an associated gas fee valuation. So it's $50 just to mint your drop. In the secondary market, because you paid $50, it's automatically going to have $50 as a valuation. I was talking with Marvel and DC comic book creator a couple of episodes back, and artist, I'll say, not creator. It's there's value in gas fees. You see it in the secondary marketplace, because you're just like, I paid $50, I paid $70 for gas. You're going to pay me $70 in gas plus, a little vig here. And so I just thought that was interesting, and we'll see that in Vogu with that companion drop at least. I think that Vogu companion drop is going to be, say that a couple times fast, Vogu companion drop is going to be pretty effing massive. On to Nouns, because my gosh, I think Nouns got super uber hot, and it was weird because Nouns are expensive. So Nouns, you're gonna do it's 617 ETH. I was like, yeah, that for number one, that sounds about right. As a project sort of ramps up, they're getting more and more. This is an ETH, guys, 125 ETH. So Nouns. Nouns were in testnet for at least a month before their release, and it looks like about 12 days ago or so. And I didn't realize they were still, they weren't in testnet anymore because the prices were so high. So when I would sort of check in on the project, because I was actively bidding, because when you're part of the testnet, you can go and you sort of mine Rinkeby testnet ETH, and so it's a variation. It's a different type of ETH in your MetaMask. If you go to MetaMask and you pull down, you'll see a couple of different test nets, and so that'll allow you to participate in projects in an early, super early way, like before mint. And so here, which is what's cool about Nouns, is there is no mint day. Every day they will mint one noun, non-stop. So as soon as the day is ended, bidding is ended, it starts the next one. And so the price on the testnet was getting to I couldn't even afford it in the testnet. And this is ETH that you kind of mine and hack through what's called faucets on a daily basis. You kind of sign in, log in, and they give you some, and you keep doing this over and over, and you kind of build up. I probably have a couple hundred ETH. I'll probably just give it back to the network unless I can find another project that I like on the Rinkeby network. But so you have all this ETH, and it was hundreds, and I was getting outbid just easily. So I'm just like, where are people getting all this Rinkeby ETH? But it was 300, 400, and so it was very high. It was always in the hundreds, and it was much more than I had, even in fake ETH. This is real ETH at 125, 95, 155, and so it's escalated. 111. Today's the 17th, so we're 11 days into this project. There was a day zero though, and appropriately it's 111 ETH 0.11. And so, with 22 hours to go, so is somebody going to beat that? Maybe, because I think this project got a lot of really fast, quick hype. Now, it was one I kind of maybe didn't want to share. I was just observing it because I could tell. I knew it was going to be big. I knew it was going to be a project that I talk about. And if you wanted to, take part of it, it's something I was like, hey guys, there's a project. that you're never going to be able to take part of. And it was kind of, I don't know, sort of crappy in that way. So I was like, I don't even know if I want to talk about nouns. And then I was observing it through this daily release thing, because I think that that's interesting. And I think also because of, and we're seeing it, fractional ownership in action. I'm not a huge fan of fractional ownership, but I do respect that it just bought 2 nouns. And so there is a Shark DAO, they call themselves, and they're funny because they've been long time participants of nouns, through the testnet, and so they've established themselves in a relationship. And they kind of came by way of like, wow, not a lot of people are going to be able to afford this. And they saw the problem that I did, and there's like, well, let's create sort of a pool of money that will buy and retain some of these very highly priced NFTs. And so Party Bid hadn't gotten word or hold of nouns, and I think Party Bid's slowly growing. But for me, I'm just not excited by. Are you guys? Like, I don't know, have fractional ownership in a pair of Air Jordans or something. I don't know. It's how do you bring that up in a conversation? Does that work financially? Does that work within the realm of the metaverse, of gaming? Maybe, if you could borrow it and play it, and then sort of it goes back to the stable or something like that. Maybe there's something interesting, but it's a thing now, and it's something that I think is part of what makes this project special, is that you have an active DAO that's close to the project. They know this project, so they could potentially just sit there and know and understand the value. And that's what they did, is they bought 2 and 5. They knew the value, and so they knew the value and did really well. So they bought 2, and then 5 I don't have on the thing, but they were sitting in wait and jumped at the opportunity to get 2 out of the 11 existing. And so I don't know how big their fund is, but that's a pretty good start. Secondary market is absurd. Nobody's selling yet. It's probably the highest if you look at OpenSea in a jokey way. It's like 999 billion or something like that ETH per each one of these. And so also interesting about the project is they're focused in on the winners in a sense. So if you win, you get your own chat in the Discord, and you can see here people then create for the Fox guy, I think it was number 2, all of these like memes, and you can communicate to the owners directly of this NFT, because they're assigned not just a channel, but also they're assigned a seat on the DAO, which is sort of Congress in a sense. They want to try and have a governing body that allows feedback from the owners. And so I think most do to some degree, but this is a very officious way of doing it. So once every day, you get this new owner, you get a new seat, you get a new vote count. I mean, look at Shark DAO. Now they have 20%, nearly 20% of voting power here on the thing. And so it's focused on whoever wins in a very big way. And so I came by way of this project by following 4156, who that's his CryptoPunks number. And so as we kind of talk about like the association that we have with our own self within the metaverse, within social media, by way of NFTs being expressive of that, this dude changed his entire internet personality and social media personality based on the number of the CryptoPunk he held. And so 4156 was, and is like a great person to follow on Twitter, and very smart, and I think had a lot of great things to say about where things potentially were headed, and certainly his take on collections. Again, as a creator, we're taking in all this information and trying to think of like, well, how does our project differ? How is our project better? I tell you, at 41.56, as much as that CryptoPunk bottom, this participation in this is going to be very, very big in terms of moneymaker, because it's also consistency, because you have one a day. And, at the end, you only have 365, after 1 year in a collection. That's nothing. After 10 years, you have like 3,000, 650. It's a very infinitesimal amount. That's, basically after 10 years, 20 years, you get one normal size drop today of a regular avatar project that, is roughly around 10,000. And so it's such a finite number that this becomes instantaneous collectible. This becomes a part of a very large pool of money, because what they've done is said, okay, all the money that's going to be made is going to be put into the DAO. We're going to take one out of every 10 for their personal use to sell perhaps on the secondary market, maybe raise money for a charity. I think you have a lot of those great pursuits and hopes for good projects, because this is one that they could take their number 10 to market and do really well and raise hundreds of thousands of dollars. And so good for them. They've created value because they can do this every 10 days. So imagine every 10 days, so 3 times a month, you could be bringing home $100,000, $150,000 a month for as long as this project lasts. That is wealth, guys. This is part of the evil grin there. But it's just like, this is part of like the excitement of being a creator within these projects. You can go into a fractional ownership. You can go and say you own part of these number 2 and number 5, and I don't know, floss somehow. And maybe again, I think in the gamification side of things, you can maybe borrow for a game and sort of have that excitement. What if you're the creator of this? What if your idea that you're thinking of right now can be translated into this type of project, and this is the type of money that you can make? So go ahead and like, subscribe, so that you A, make that money, B, make me part of your DAO, and we'll go figure out how to spend that money, because that's what the DAO is for. Those 10 people so far that are in the DAO, they have a vote on what to do with the money, whether that is to make another project, invest in other projects. And I think that Bored Ape Yacht Club has done that in a cool way. They have taken their money that they've been making and given out awards, grants to other artists. And so there's what is his name, Jeeves? There's one Bored Ape who's like, he looks like a driver, and so the owner of that NFT was granted an ability to go make a short film / animation show project, but I think he's doing a book first. Yeah, sorry, it's a book first, because it wasn't a ton of money, and so but it was enough money for this artist to go and make a book based upon his NFT, and so, which has already got about 8,000 in terms of viewership. Like you have these a built-in audience that's going to buy that book, that collectible, because maybe it's a secondary collectible, maybe it's a drop, maybe it's a PDF drop, that itself is going to be a collectible, much like the Degenz comics are. And so you're building this collectible, and then also it seems like because it's a book, it's it's going to have this in a different market outside of NFTs, a very large book market. Will it penetrate? I don't know, but is it an exciting opportunity for an artist, for a writer? That's fantastic. That's really super cool. And so yeah, I just kind of scrolling through the ether scan, and it's just like it's just got a lot of style, this team, but I just wanted to also highlight just how simple the project is, and it's beautiful in that way. It's just like, hey, here's the body, here's a head, here are glasses, randomized each day, randomized, and then it pops up, and some of the results of which I will say, because I've been watching this project for a long time, are a little hard to understand, because like it's so raw, that it's just like it's a kind of a cluster of stuff, and so it sort of doesn't even make sense at times. And so I think of the like these, the robot and stuff like that, it's like you can get, but like the fox, that's a little tough. That's a little tough to understand what that is. And so there'll be some that just like that guy, just like a poop head, and you're just like, what am I buying here? But when the ones come out that look like something, that look like it has a crown, or that have a relation to traditional NFT value, like golden things, like whatever, it has this massive appeal and price point. And so those are the ones that really took off. It just kind of, if it looked like something that, looked like a Pikachu or something, just through the roof. And so when there's something that you can identify within a project like this, because like Foxhead, that's actually kind of cool. That creates its own, language of visual nature, and that's what's super cool about this project. But it does have its limitations, because again, like, you kind of get that one poop head because it's so like really randomized. You're like, well, okay. So maybe the pricing doesn't come in so high on that one. But, I think it's a fantastic project, a great one to watch. And again, I was sort of limiting myself by not talking about it because it was sort of like, hey, check out this thing. It's like for whales only. But there, to be fair, you can, participate with, by joining Shark DAO. Or PartyBit, I'm sure, is going to make their link to the project soon, because it's just that type of project, that PartyBit, which is, sort of a fractional ownership style of contribution to a project, because it's contributing. And I think that's what's really awesome about Shark DAO is you have a buyer there who's going to be buying and bidding against whales, and because there's a limited number of Logan Pauls in the world that can, buy up sort of your one of ones, or your sort of your real heavy hitter collections. And so, please hit like and subscribe. Be very interested to hearing about the projects you guys are interested in. Please ignore the sort of the scammy ones that are starting to show up on these things. I'm very humbled that you guys think that I'm worth putting all that great advertising on, but I think I'm not going to put anything really in the comments other than answering comments to some degree. I won't be doing any outreach or anything like that to prevent the scammy type stuff. But I want to hear more about what you guys are up to, and I'll be responding, and I want to see what projects are